Welcome back to Totally Unexpected. This is Chavie Brooke, your host. I still pinch myself that I get to talk to such cool people and share these conversations with you. Today, we're talking to Chana Traxler. She's a mom of six, a wife and a mom of six. She's the education director of Mechon Alta Women's Yeshiva, the extracurricular program and activity coordinator for seminary Chaya Mushka, and the co-director of the Artist Quarter Minion. So quite a busy woman. And I got to talk to her. I forgot to say the most important part, where she lives in Tzfat in Israel. And it was really important to me to be able to talk to someone in Israel. And we go through, her experience on October 7th and the continued experience that she's having. And it's a really beautiful conversation. I came away with some beautiful thoughts and ideas that I think about all the time. So go listen and enjoy. Today, we have two sponsors for our episode. The first sponsor is Simpo Travel. Traveling these days is hard enough. Flight cancellations, hotel pictures online that don't match the reality when you arrive on location. Getting gourmet kosher food while enjoying a mountainous or beachfront resort can be challenging, and online booking sites are a nightmare. What's the solution? My husband and I discovered Simpo Travel, which has an amazing team that is entirely focused on customer service. They take care of your trip from A to Z with every amenity on your bucket list. They are friendly. They have incredible resources in the travel industry. They respond to changes immediately, and they work within your budget. Next time you're looking to get away, skip Expedia, ignore the travel ads in the Jewish magazines, visit www.simpotravel.com or call and WhatsApp 718-489-9634. And you can follow Simpo on Instagram, Simpo Travel, for the latest in travel and all your travel needs. We have firsthand experience with Simpo Travel. That's why I feel very confident in recommending them. Our second sponsor is Bentzi's Fish, the fish with a homemade taste. Since 1976, this family operated business with Bentzi himself still at the helm has been producing gourmet kosher fish for our amazing Jewish community. They say that when you eat Bentzi's Fish, you complete your Shabbos Tish. The reach of their fish products is incredible, even making it all the way to Australia. So if you live in Brooklyn, stop in at their store, 332 Albany Avenue in Crown Heights, and be greeted with Bentzi's warm smile. You can also visit them online, bentzysfish.com. You spell Bentzi, B-E-N-Z, or bentzysgourmet.com. Remember, B-E-N-Z. Or ask your local store owner to get Bentzi's on the shelf in your community. Start off the new year with Bentzi's. I don't know. People I'm just very wary of technology. Like there's always
Oh,
something.
really?
Yeah, because it's just it's always complicated. Like something's
I
not
know.
working and go try to figure out why. Like why the AirPod gods decide not for it to work today. What's the reason,
So then how are you doing this podcast? Like, it's so technical, I feel like.
And it's so unpredictable. Oh, I know this is the hardest part for me. Like the technical part of it. Thank God, Ellie does a lot of the stuff, but I'm on the ground. So I have to manage all this stuff. Like I have to figure out how to do it. And then there are times where something's not working and I freak out. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do.
You go into panic mode.
Yeah, because I don't have it's not like I can pull on knowledge and I'm savvy and I can figure it out. Like if it doesn't work when it's supposed to work, that's it. I don't know what to do. Like I can't problem solve this, But
Right.
that's the hard part of this is the podcast is amazing, but the technical stuff around it is
I
hard for
know.
me.
Such a pain. Yeah, I'm trying to just try one more thing.
Sure.
No, okay,
Not
whatever.
working, not working.
Oh, wait, it worked. Oh my gosh. Hey, I fixed it.
Well, you are savvy. Way more savvy.
I don't know
than
what
me.
I clicked.
I know sometimes you just click all these buttons. You're like, something has to work.
Something has to work, literally.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for being here. I know it was a little bit tight schedule, but I'm so appreciative that you can make it work. And this episode is going to air on October 7th. So, on the one hand, it's like a bit of a tall order. It's like, oh my gosh, like, how do we even attempt to address? And I don't even know what the word is. Like, we're not even really commemorating. Like, what are we doing on October 7th? Like, we're just like marking that a year has passed since one of the worst and craziest days of our generation. And like, how do we even navigate that? But the one thing that I did know is that this is my third episode dropping on October 7th because it happens to be a Monday. And I'm like, there's no way that we can talk about anything besides for Israel. Like, however the conversation is and whatever we end up, talking about, it needs to be centered around Israel because that's the only thing that makes sense and that matters on this day. So you're here, you live in Israel, you have a lot to share. And I think we'll just have a conversation and we'll talk a little bit about your experience on October 7th and your experience this last year. And we'll see where the conversation takes us. And I just want to take a minute to, first of all, dedicate this podcast to a lot of different people. Number one, hostages. They should come home right now. All the beautiful, gorgeous souls that we lost on October 7th and throughout this horrific conflict. And also to the living soldiers and civilians of Israel on the ground who are just the strongest nation that to ever live, to keep fighting. The soldiers on the front lines, everyone in Israel who are just living there is a huge I don't want to say sacrifice, but it's a big deal to live in Israel, and it's a privilege, and it's also a very, very high responsibility. And I don't think anybody in America takes it lightly. So we take this opportunity to think and to appreciate and to love all of our brothers and sisters in Israel. Okay, so first, before we even get to talking about Israel and October 7th, I want to hear a little bit about you. So, how did you even end up in Israel? Tell me a little tiny bit about where you grew up, childhood, and like how you landed in Israel.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor and a privilege. I've been following you for a while and kind of feel like I know you just
Yeah,
from
you
talking
kind
to you, but this is really the first
of
time
do.
we're meeting. So,
Totally.
so this is really beautiful. Thanks for taking the time to listen to people's stories and sharing them. I'm from Chicago. I'm a Ben Chicago. Born and raised on Schliffus in downtown, and born and raised in Chicago all my life, through high school.
I just dropped
And
my daughter off in high school in Chicago. Just saying.
no way.
I went to
That's
high
so
school in
cute.
Chicago, and I last week I took Chaya for ninth grade. She's like second
Wow.
generation. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
Wow. I'm actually passing by there today, so maybe I'll say hello.
It's her birthday today, actually, the day we're recording.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
not
That's
October
so
7th, but
nice.
the
Happy
recording day.
birthday. Yeah.
um,
Yes. So I went to Israel for seminary, and Israel was always a very close to home place for all of us, for my whole family. We grew up with very strong values of Israel and being a part of our life, as all Jews, but it was always a little bit of dose more in our family. My father is an IDF veteran,
oh wow.
served in the Yom Kippur War.
Oh,
He was drafted when he was 15 years old, served in the intelligence.
is
And
he Israeli?
my father's Moroccan. He was born and raised in Morocco and then made Aliyah to Israel, um, with his whole family. Yeah, which is a whole story in and of itself. But he was drafted to the army very young because of his Arabic from Morocco. Um, and then he did end up serving during the war, during one of the worst wars. Interestingly enough, this war right now has been compared to the Yom Kippur War many times, especially in the beginning, that we were taken by surprise, etc. It was 50 years since the Yom Kippur War, so we always were very strong valued in Israel. So it wasn't so crazy that when I got to Israel, I'm like, I think I found my home, and friends that when I left the seminary, they're like, "Hannah, I think this is our goodbye."
I know. We don't think you're coming back.
We don't think we're coming back. What happened? It's actually literally what happened. Not that I had to prove anything to anyone, but I really did find my place. Felt more myself. I did 2 years of seminary and then decided to stay. I figured I'm like, listen, you have to make it anywhere in the world. You have to go and put yourself out there and try to find a job, go to college, make yourself a life. It's not like America is this place where everything just falls onto your plate. You have to make it work. I love Israel. Let me try to make it work here. And if not, I'll go back home. Because if I go back home, I'm for sure 99% not going to try to come back here to make it work. So if it works, great. And if not, not. I wasn't like, I'm making Aliyah this minute and I'm moving to Israel. It was just, it was really calling me. And so I stayed there another year. And then I ended up meeting my husband in Tzfat through many mutual friends and different, different situations. And we got married in Chicago and decided to move. I mean, it was always we were going to live in Israel. Like we both were really felt that we really felt one with ourselves there.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to explain.
No, but it's like an
The way
energy.
I describe it.
Yeah, it's like an energy soul thing, right? Like,
Yeah,
and you when you feel it. And
100%.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I usually describe it actually through a Kabbalistic idea.
Yeah.
Um, it, yeah, it's from Kabbalah. It's called Olam, Shana, and Nefesh. Time, place, and soul. And for me, I kind of felt like all of those elements lined up for me. Like it was the perfect time of my life, perfect place. And I felt most connected with my soul. And that's where I was like, okay, if I'm feeling these three elements line up so strongly here, then this feels right for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, for me, I mean, I actually use that concept to kind of get in tune with making many decisions in my life or seeing where I'm holding, like
Mhm.
time, place, and soul. And when obviously it's not perfect, but when most of those align, then for me it's a good sign.
I love that. I love having I think so many of us need, or everybody should be able to check in and have like a formula of like, okay, how do I know or that I need to give this a try or that this is right for me? And so many times we like jump into things without much thought, but I love this idea of like, okay, like does this align with, your soul, your place, your what was the other one? Your time?
Time, yeah.
Time, soul, and place. Like this makes so much sense. And it's such a great tool. I feel like I'm gonna start to use that. Um, but I
Not
actually like
mine.
I actually really am curious just for a second to go back for a second. Did your father speak about his experience in the Yom Kippur War, or was it like,
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah, he did. I would say in stark contrast to my mother is Persian. She was born and raised in Iran.
Ooh,
Left at a later age than my father left Morocco. So she speaks Farsi, writes Farsi, the whole thing. And
wow,
my
wow.
family has been in Iran. Yeah, I'm first generation American. And they were both born and raised in their countries, like not. And
Right, right.
so, and my mother's family had to run away, and my father's family had to run away from Morocco. My mother's family had to run away from Iran, and they each have many stories. I would say for my Persian side, they're much more hush hush. They don't talk about it at all. You kind of have to really pull out information. Um,
Wow. It's such a
I
cultural
mean,
thing, you know?
it's a cultural thing, but I think it's also a choice that they don't want to like. They've moved ahead. They've
Yeah.
created a
Past is the
family
past.
afterwards.
This
Yeah,
is our future. We don't need to worry about the past.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a mix of both of those. So yeah, I would definitely say my Persian side doesn't talk about it as much. Um, but my father was very open about his experience in the army. Like many old other soldiers in the Yom Kippur War, it was such a devastating, horrific war that really bursted the bubble for many people living in Israel. Um, and it's very similar to now. A lot of the trust in the government was lost, a lot of the trust in the army. And he was one of those people that were like, I don't know, like, and he left Israel, I would say 2 or 3 years after that,
Wow.
and did not go back 5 years.
Wow. He was just like, was it trauma or was it like just,
That I never got out of him. I'm
yeah,
assuming a little bit.
yeah. Wow. That's,
um,
Really,
But yeah,
really. So, wow, like having, parents, from, I think not only like, not American, but like from this region of conflict, and especially now, like, if your mother's more hush hush, I wonder if she like, does it hit closer to home with Iran now and everything? Like, or
so
you
it
don't
does
know?
in an interesting way. And interestingly enough, right when October 7th happened, so my Persian grandmother, my mother's mother, um, I have a few pieces of jewelry from her, like heirloom from Iran, from her mother, from her grandmother, that have been passed down. And some I wear on a daily basis and some I don't. And when the war broke out, I went to my jewelry box and put them on. And I was like, my family has made it through so much, fleeing Iran, fleeing Morocco, coming to America, making a new life. And I am going through this again. I mean, we're not fleeing Israel, but just being through that situation. And I put it on as my like protection and
Oh my
my
gosh, I have
connection to
like
my
goosebumps.
family.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
and it
special.
was really, really, really powerful. Like I felt really connected to my ancestry, to
Yeah.
to everything, and it really gave me a lot of strength.
Yeah, I really relate to like having a physical something that gives us strength that like makes us feel protected or loved. Like some people don't relate to that and a thing is just a thing, but I really like, something that has like sentimental meaning or has had history like and you wear it as protection or it keeps you like connected to your
Right,
family like I really 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 relate to that. Like that feels
right.
wow.
Especially being away from my family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. Okay, so you stay in Israel, right? After seminary and you're single in Israel. Okay, so after seminary, did you get a job? Like what did you do once you
yeah, I
were
got a job. I taught from online school actually.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I also led birthright trips, on campus trips to Israel. It was actually during the Tzfat war, the previous Gaza war, two wars before that summer. And yeah, lived that life in Israel. And then when we got married, it was very obvious that we would move back to Israel. I wasn't as like stuck to Tzfat as my husband was. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's go for it, and if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. And we moved to Tzfat and had a beautiful, as much as private that two children of Shulchan could do. Like we both were born and raised on Shlupa, so we automatically were just like involved leaders, doers. But I was teaching in Mafanalta and the seminary, and my husband actually started a laundry business, um, which didn't exist in Spot. So we were both kind of living our life. Um,
But I just
and
have to
then
pause for a second cuz
yeah,
Tzfat is not an easy place to live. Like it takes some grit. Like I went to seminary,
true.
but post high school, in Spot. And honestly, like I would not be able to live there. Like it takes, a certain, strength of personality. And I don't know, like, how do you is it hard for you to live in Spot or just so natural for you?
Spot is one of those places where some people say Spot either takes you in or throws you out. And the people who are in love with Spot, it's just like we found our home. This is just the most amazing place I've ever been. Nothing else in life or the world matters. And some people are just like very nice. I'll come for a Shabbos, but I'm leaving the second Shabbos is over.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean,
Okay.
definitely challenges. We live in the artist quarter, which is one of the most beautiful places in
Yeah,
the
that is
world.
beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
We're not like some living in a random apartment middle of whatever. So, but yeah, there's something of it is true. There's something about the air there, and especially coming as from a Chicago girl where I never saw a mountain, coming to a place like Spa really opened me up as a person. And I'm still a city girl, so every once in a while I gotta go to a big city and hear a bunch of ambulances and tall buildings to
What is that
to
for
get that
you? Like
rush.
Jerusalem? Like where do you go for that?
Yeah, either Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, wherever it is. just to get out and get like that rush. Um, but because I'm a city girl, I also really appreciate not living in the city.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a mix. It's like
Mhm.
like I appreciate both.
You
It's
need a
definitely a different experience raising my children in
yeah,
Spa and not a big city where I grew
yeah,
up. So
yeah. You need a dose of like the city rush, but then you're happy to live.
I'm good. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I am such a country bumpkin. Like I
Well, that's
don't.
perfect for you.
I know, right? I don't think I could. I mean, I grew up in San Antonio, which is considered a really big city, but San Antonio has this like weird thing about it that it really does. It's really slow pace. It doesn't. It feels more small towny than it really is.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, like I really don't think that my nervous system, like when I'm in a big city, just I don't know how people do it. Like I'm like, oh, that's why
Yeah.
everybody is so stressed and, like you go to New York and everyone's on edge, right? Like, of course you are. You have to fight for your life to get to work through traffic. Like
Yeah.
by the time you're like get to your destination, you're exhausted. Like I honestly like
Right.
I don't know how people do it. It takes a lot of resilience to live in a big city.
So much of our energy is like put on exactly like you said, fighting through traffic
Yeah.
or, paying your parking tickets rather than
Yeah, just
things that you
living.
actually want to spend your time on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you're living in Spot and we're gonna fast forward like a lot of years. You've been living what, like 10 years around?
Yes, we've been there 10 years and been there 10 years. We started okay, so I would say about 3 years into we were living there, we had two kids, Tara, and I was working at Maharata, took on more of an administrative position for the Balchupa program. And we didn't find our place as a family and as a couple. Um, Not because things weren't good, it was just not us. Like we didn't feel that that certain needs as families and in a community were being met. Israeli community culture, especially Chabad, is very different from American culture and Chabad. We both grew up on shluchas, so it wasn't even like a regular anach community that we were used to. And whatever, things just didn't really speak to us. So my husband actually started going to a Hasidisha Shibul. He found his place. He loved it and was going there. And yeah, he really found his people, but I didn't. And I was finding myself Shabbos morning waiting for my husband to come back from shul while I'm at home, because most shuls and spot don't accommodate women on a level that I felt was respectful and honorable, and was not respectful and honorable to bring my children. So I didn't go. And I love shul. I love davening. And I'm a big advocate for women in these types of places. And eventually I told my husband, I'm like, I'm really happy that you're happy, but this is not well enough for our family and for me. And I'm not willing to be at home every Shabbos morning. Like, that's not what our Jewish family looks like. And there were a few other people that were feeling the same. And so we're like, let's just start a little, like, not a big deal, word of mouth. Um, we started a minion and also started doing other events that were not available in the community at the time. Menorah lighting, Lag BaOmer barbecue. Literally, there was nothing available for any English speakers at the time. So we just threw a little barbecue for people to come over, and we went to Kfar Bottom, bought a menorah, decided to invite people to a menorah lighting thing, and it our community basically started growing leaps and bounds from there. We started a kiddush at our shul. One else was offering kiddushes.
Mm.
A
That's such a
kids
different
program during davening.
yeah, such a
Just
different
like
culture.
basic,
Yeah.
it's a very different culture.
Yeah.
And that really just went through the roof and grew and grew and grew and grew into our beautiful community that we have today that's geared for English speakers and a more of an American Chabad um, style and value system. And we have, I would say, over 100 people every Shabbos.
Oh, wow.
Many visitors, many locals. Our nickname is like the women's shul because the women's section is bigger than the men's section, and more women come. All decisions that we make are, does this make a woman feel more a part of it or less a part of it? Um, to the basic of where, if someone's speaking at shul, where is he going to stand or she going to stand so that everyone is spoken to with respect. Um, and yeah, we're a full-fledged shul. One of our biggest successes, I would say, is the women's learning program. We have women's learning every week. Actually, right now we're in the middle of a 3-week Elul full-time learning program for the women
Oh,
of
wow.
Tzfat.
Wow. Beautiful.
We also have like 5 yearly music and art festivals on Sukkot and Pesach, where artists come and sell their things. And it actually started during COVID, where many artists had
Lost
no
their
parnasa,
parnasa. Yeah. Their
kind of like it
livelihood.
is right now. So we're like,
Yeah.
oh, why don't we just do a little art fair? And we invited some artists, played some music, and then from there it grew to like big music and art festivals. Our last one was Sukkot of October 7th. On Pesach, spot was a dry land, not a soul to be found. Um, so we weren't able to have anything on Pesach, but we are hoping that this year we'll have one. And so that's our community. And in a little bit of a nutshell, we're building now a community kitchen next door to our shul. One of the biggest needs that have also come up is like supporting the community. The joke is that in other communities, the community supports the rabbi, and in our community, the rabbi supports the community. So we're in the middle of building a Meals on Wheels program to serve the needy in dignity, like not the old soup model kitchen, but the food goes out to the needy or elderly or handicapped, etc. So we're really,
Wow.
every year is a new big project happening.
Yeah. Wow. So you have a lot going on, and I know you have like goals and dreams, and like what do you see, like what do you want to do in the next, like what's your next big goal?
Well, alongside our school, I do also work for Machanalta and Seminary under the leadership of Rabbi Mrs. Rosenfeld. And that has been a big, huge blessing in my life to really use my talent of management, of organization, of leadership in a setting of education, with both Bali Chuva and from Birth Girls. So that is my actual full-time pay job.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay. It's a lot.
and which is such, really, I'm always so, so grateful for being able to have something outside of our soul and shluchus, and at the same time to also have something that's outside of my work and to have my shul and have the community, because they both feed very different sides of myself, and they're both extremely needed, to go to work every morning, use my brain in certain ways, and then also feed my soul and feed myself differently through our community. And it's a lot on my plate, and I could easily drop one of them and still have a full-time job, but they each serve me and my soul in ways that I can't let go. I
You
might
know,
have more time on my hands,
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
wouldn't feel as fulfilled as a person.
Oh my gosh. This lands for me in such a big way because I also feel like, yeah, I have multiple full-time jobs, right? Thank God we're moms, we're wives, we run community centers and have tons of, many different, we wear many different hats, right? And when you're a community leader, you're the chef and you're the party planner and you're the teacher and you're everything. And so it's like very overwhelming and then but very fulfilling at the same time. And then I, started this podcast and it's like, why? Like I don't really necessarily need another full-time job. And trust me, podcasting is way more full-time than I could have ever imagined. But it also like it fills a part of me that I really need. And I feel the same way. Like there's sometimes like even this morning I woke up and I'm like, I am not like I don't got this together. Like my husband's out of town, like I'm morning routine, getting everything ready, like going to record a podcast, like the day just I'm like I don't got this. Like, I don't got this. And at the same time, like, I don't can't and won't let it go. I won't let go of my community work and shachos. Like, that serves a huge part of me, and that is my life's mission. And um, it's like it's my life. It's not something outside of me necessarily, right?
Right.
And then starting this new project is like filling such a different part of my soul and a different need and bringing me so much joy and like it, and they complement and align with each other. So I really understand that, but it doesn't mean at times I feel like I'm a deer in the headlights, like, wait, how is this all gonna happen? Like, how are we doing this? Like, and I sometimes I'm like, what, who asked? Like, what thinking, like taking
Yeah.
on something else. But I really relate to this, like, like I don't like I'm not like I can't let any of it go because they feed a different part of you. Like
Right.
that
Right.
is
I
such
mean,
a
there's definitely like maturing each need and kind
yes.
of getting down of like what exactly is in here and how could I refine it. Obviously my life has, evolved over the last few years of my position at school and my position at the shul, etc. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
doesn't mean that things cannot be tweaked and refined.
Oh, for sure.
And I think over time it's so important to revisit and refine. Like, okay, maybe I got out of it in a much deeper way 5 years ago. Does that still exist? Can that be tweaked? Can that be refined? Um,
I really believe
but
in that, like the reevaluation and like, and I have this motto and I use it with my kids and for myself, like nothing has to be forever, right? Like this is what you're doing now. Like, look, kind of what we talked about before, like being self-aware, like checking in, right? Just because you've been doing this for 5 years doesn't mean if it's not feeding that need anymore and if it's not providing what it should be providing, doesn't mean you still have to do it in that same way. Like constantly check yourself and check, like be self-aware, I think is such a
right.
huge part of growth.
Right. At the same time, over reevaluation or at times that it's not appropriate. And I think actually Tanya speaks about this a lot, that of evaluation at inappropriate times
Mm,
is actually worse for you. And so I think evaluating at the right time with the
yeah.
right people.
Yes.
And yes, things are not forever. However, something take grit and to pull
Oh,
through
for sure.
um, not to reevaluate. I remember after seminary, that question of like, what are you doing next year kind of ends because what do you mean next year? Like, it's not a year, it's my life.
Right,
You know?
right. Like, what are you doing with your life now, you know?
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean? It's my life. I'm not reevaluating my job every other year. Yet, but there are
Correct.
aspects of it that can be and should be.
That's really
Um,
a really powerful point that I think is important to balance out, like, okay, you don't have, this reevaluation and being self-aware, but also like knowing the right time, knowing the right place, knowing who and how to do it, like is all really valuable insight. So I do want to hear like living, in Tzfat October 7th. I want to hear from you because everybody's experience is their personal experience. And so I'm talking to you. So I want to hear about your personal experience. You can take us through the day of October 7th and then we'll kind of go from there.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to make a disclaimer that I am not the gatekeeper of any one's experience here in Israel, and this is my personal experience and perspective. So October 7th, we were in our shul, and it's Simchas Torah morning. I come downstairs. We had a beautiful Simchas Torah evening, and we were getting geared up for a day. And I come downstairs, and one of our helpers in the kitchen comes to me and was like, "Mama, there's a war! There's a war! There's a war!" I'm like, okay, 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 calm down. What is going on? No, you don't understand. They took over the police station of Stero. I'm like, what? Who took over who? What do you mean they took over? Who's they? Like, what are you talking about? No, there's rockets. It's crazy. Now, sometimes this person over exaggerates. So I'm like, okay, calm down. Okay, I'm sure they started sending rockets. It flares up every once in a while. Let's pray. Everything will be okay. I don't know what you're talking about taking over police station. Like, relax. And so we all have like a gulp in our stomach of like what's going on. But real information did not start coming out till I would say 2 hours later. I went on the street. Now we're in Tzfat, so I can't even stop anyone on the street. Most people here are religious. The streets are empty. I can't even really get information. We had no idea that we were in a pikuach nefesh situation to even turn on our phone. Like we didn't even think we would have to turn on our phone. Like, okay, there's rockets in the south, but why would that mean that I should open my phone? And then just pieces start coming through. Like many people are dead. Many people are dead, and or are killed, and you're not really sure what to believe. Once like 100 started, that number started being thrown around. We're like, it's not even possible. Like something must not be true. What is even going on? So pieces of information were coming in during the day. I would say at one point I got up and we must have had 300 people there at the time. And actually the most beautiful Samkastara. Like it was working out on a soul level, beautiful. Like the food, the vibe, the dance, the davening, everything was just absolutely beautiful and meaningful. And so I addressed the crowd that don't know what's going on right now, but something is going on, and we must be here for each other in unity, in love, and support. And everyone put their hands around each other and committed to, being here and being present and not giving up on the day and praying. Actually, right before that, I had a total breakdown. I was just like sobbing. I'm like, I don't know what we're doing, and how could we be doing this? We don't even know what's going on. And then I had a moment with my husband and pulled it together and addressed the people. And we continued to have a beautiful, meaningful Simchas Torah. Again, we're in Tzfat. There was very little information coming through. We didn't have any neighbors coming. We also didn't have any sirens. At some point during the day, there were very low planes and fighter jets around. So we're like, okay, definitely something was going on. But nothing more was happening over here. We heard after Yantif that Rav Shmuel Eliyahu, who's the chief rabbi of Tzfat, sent out a directive to get your phones and get your weapons, but we didn't get that message during shul. Yeah, Yantif over, we turned our phones on, and like everybody, I finally saw what the stair road police station meant. And even then, it was unclear. Even the IDF was still unclear at that point what was happening. I went home right away. I was like, I need to go home. There was a big question if we should have a couple of shmias or not. We asked the Rav, and the Rav said to do it just to do it, but not with live music or not with anything. I got home. I decided not to tell my kids yet because I was still
You're
unclear and
still
afraid.
unsure. Yeah.
And it was so late. I'm like, let me just put them to sleep. I put them to sleep. I locked every window that I could possibly lock, shut all the shutters, and made my house as dark as possible. Because no one knew what was happening. Like that could happen to us right here, right now. What's next? I called my friends that I knew that were either closer to where was happening, or some of my friends and close friends that were literally drafted on Yantif. That morning they left wherever they were and went to war. And it was very scary. Like I had to lock my, we don't really lock our doors. Okay, at night before I go to sleep, I lock my door, but like not more than that. And then in the morning when my kids got up, where I sat them together and explained to them that there was a war. Some of my kids need more information in order to process. And I know that this is a big discussion and every mother takes it differently. And I think it really depends on the children.
On the kid. Yeah.
Especially one of my children, he's less anxious when I give him more
When
information.
he knows more. I
When
think
he knows
that's
more. And
true for a lot of people with anxiety. Like the more information they have, the more they can figure out and process and figure out the plan. Like, what are they going to do?
exactly. So there's a war in Gaza. Where is Gaza? Is it close to us? Is it far from us? Okay, there are a few borders to Israel. There's Lebanon, Syria, Jordan. Like explain to them the map. Explaining to him everything actually helped him calm down. There was someone else in my community who has a daughter around the same age, and whatever. This was a little bit later. Gonna have a play date with my daughter, and she told me, she's like, I just want you to know that my daughter doesn't really know what's going on. And so much so that if there is a siren, we told her that it's just the siren for prayer. So we go into the prayer room and we pray,
Ooh, that's
but
interesting.
not more than that. And I'm
Wow.
like,
Ooh.
okay, I'm really sorry, but my daughter knows what's going on and she knows what a siren means. And if this will be the moment your daughter gets educated, then that's what's going to happen. If not, then maybe they should have a play date. But yeah, like, okay, that's a little bit extreme, but my kids need a little bit more information than usual. And those few weeks were really chaotic and scary. There was no school. The streets were empty. Doors were shut, 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 shut. People were afraid to leave their home. There's actually an Arab town right outside of Tzfat. Know about it. So people were scared that an uprising would come from there. Um,
Did it
the
stay quiet? Like, was it fine?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything stayed quiet, but it was one of those times like, okay, we don't have weapons. Do we get a weapon? How do we get a weapon? The scariest moment I would say was a few days into the war. We made a rally for children. We finally gathered. Okay, no, we have to make a rally and do psukim. And so we gathered at our shul. Our shul is like 400-year-old stone, so it's very, very thick stone. Our home does not have a shelter, does not have a mamad. So we gathered all the kids at the shul, and sure enough, middle of us being Yehi Ratzon, the sirens don't stop. I mean, 4 or 5 sirens, and that was the first one that we experienced, like the spot during that war. So everyone gets down on the floor, and then a message comes in that there was a fear of paragliders spot and of filtration, and get into your shelters, lock your windows, lock your door, whatever. Now we're at our school with like 25 kids. So like, what do you do? Do you stay? Do you leave? Like infiltration? Like we just saw what infiltration meant 3 days before. So we decided that everyone needs to go, like everyone go to your safe place. So we ran to our neighbors, a very close friend of ours. They have underground mamad and shelter. We ran there with our stuff, and a few friends who also didn't have a shelter. And also, again, like closing the lights, closing the shades. My husband and a few guys were standing at the door holding it shut. And I was texting my siblings, like, we're like, this is the scariest moment of my life. Like, anyone can come through at any point. Um, so I would say that that was definitely probably one of the scariest times of my life. But thank God, 2 hours later, it came out that it was a false alarm, and the person was like, "Oh, it's a false alarm." I'm like, "This is not a time to joke. This is serious. Don't tell me it's a false alarm." Like, no, sorry, that's not a way to make me happy while I'm hiding my kids in a
It doesn't
basement.
make you feel any better.
No. It's like, "Come on, I'm serious. It's a false alarm." I'm like, "Show it to me on the news." And once I saw it on like Incredible thing, I'm like, okay, and like it was a big sigh of relief. And then, after a few weeks in and really focusing our energy on getting involved of what's needed from us at the moment, there was also a lot of chaos at school. Um, Girls were leaving, girls didn't come back. Um, how are we even getting teachers to come in to teach when there's no school? So everyone has to stay home with their kids. Where are you sending your kids? Some of our teachers were drafted. How do we handle the girls? What do we tell the girls? I remember a moment I sat with Rabbi Mrs. Rosenfeld, and I was like, okay, what is our official position? Are we telling girls that, Israel is the safest place? This is what the Rebbe said, but do whatever you feel comfortable with. Our position is like neutral. Like, we're not telling you what to do. Whatever you want to do is acceptable by us. Or are we telling them that our position is that you stay? And Rabbi Rosenfeld was like, no, our unequivocal position is that we believe that everyone should stay, because that was the Rebbe's unequivocal position. And it was like a switch for me, like a switch from like, do whatever makes you feel good, or no, there is a clarity in this moment right now, and there's an answer to be, fulfilled. And we actually know what should be done. We don't know what to do ourselves, but there is one thing that we know is that we need to stay. And that is position that we're giving our students as well. Of course, if somebody chose to left, there was no judgment and it was completely supported. but the official school position is that people should stay.
So for you and your family, did it ever cross your mind to, because you are American, right? Like you could leave. Like, did it ever cross your mind to leave? Or what was the process like for you? Was it automatic? Like you knew you were just going to stay? Or was it something that you had to come to and accept? Or like how was that for you?
So I will say that my gut was, this is my home. Like, what do you mean I'm gonna leave? Like, this is my home. However, people in the community did leave, and there were these emergency flights, um, evacuation flights from America, which they, just so people should know, they send you a bill afterwards. So they get you out of Israel, but they are gonna send you a bill
No
after
way.
of
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. Like
that's
I have
like a
put it
good
in the
old
fine
fashioned
print.
Israeli.
No, 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 it's not Israeli, it's American.
Oh,
Like
that.
they'll come, we're doing a rescue flight.
Oh my gosh, for real?
Yeah, they did rescue flights,
And then
but
charged
then
people.
they charged. I'm like, that's not really a rescue flight, but thank you. So there were people that were leaving and were considering to leave. And of course, I will say that my family never pressured me, but they did say, Hannah, if at any point you want to leave, we will get you out. Like, or if you want to leave Tzfat and go to a place that's a little bit more central, we're here to make that happen. It's interesting because the directive that was so clear that the Rebbe gave was 1967. It was written to 6 yeshiva, Chabad yeshiva boys that were in the old city. And one of the people that it was written to, and this directive from the Rebbe made it into the front page newspaper in Israel. That the Lubavitcher Rebbe said to stay in Israel and that Israel is the safest place. And he wrote this to 6 Bachrim that their family was calling them to come back home. And one of these Bachrim was Rabbi Shlomo Schwartzy, and who is him, Schwartzy and Olivia are mine and my husband's mashpiyim and mentors. Schwartzy Oliver Shalom, who's actually buried in Tzfat. And so that connection of like the main thing that the Rebbe said that everybody is talking about that gave the clarity of the position of the Rebbe, as well as it was to our personal mashpiyim and mentors, was like it hit home on so many levels of on like
Feeling like
who to
this was
listen.
the message.
Yeah, like it was for us personally also. And Schwartzy, those of you who know Schwartzy, it was probably one of his biggest traumas in life. He spoke about it till the end of his life, and every time he spoke about the story of being in the 6-Day War, um, you could feel the intensity of his experience. And it was something that he spoke about all the time. So for us, it was like so clear that like, no, this is what we are doing. Especially we have a whole community, you can't just leave. So it was a process, but it was also a clarity at the same time.
Okay, so you have a strength, you have your moral compass, which I feel like not everybody has. So it's a really beautiful thing to, even in the scariest of times, to have a little bit of a center and like just knowing that what you're doing is right and true. And you talked about like, okay, the first month was very chaotic, right? So what happens next? Like after the first month, I think in Tzfat, like school started back up and then you're living like a day-to-day life, but like in war, right? Because I mean, Israel, I mean, it's still at war, like, and it's a year later. So, how does that pan out? Like, how do you live your everyday life? What does that look like? What are you? I know you mentioned that your husband was doing a lot of support for soldiers at borders and all that stuff. So, how is that all, playing out?
Okay, so already from October 8th, my husband got a phone call Sunday morning, October 8th, that there were soldiers, like a makeshift base 10 minutes away from Spot that literally didn't have water and food. He's like, what do you mean we're going? Like, of course I'm going. So eventually he went with my kids, packed up the car with an unbelievable amount of water, and pizza was like the fastest thing. There was probably one pizza shop open, packed up the car and went. And now the army doesn't lack food, but then there was a 200% turn up of
Yeah,
reservists.
yeah. So they
And
weren't
it would
prepared.
happen, they were not prepared. So there was actually literally no food and literally no water. I have the video, I should send it to you, of soldiers like, thank you for the water. And they're on their tanks are running they were about to go, like they were ready to go. They weren't just sitting around waiting to be told. They were on their tanks were on, and they didn't even have a bottle of water. And so literally since October 8th, my husband has really been on the front line, all over, getting in touch with commanders and chaplains. Now once the food, like day-to-day food started coming through, like when the army caught up, and this was actually really sad. I heard from one of the soldiers that one of the reasons why it also took a long time to get up on the food was that a lot of the refrigerator trucks that transfer food to soldiers all over the country were unfortunately and horrifically have to be diverted for the bodies themselves, because there were so many that they needed to use those trucks, and the food had to wait almost. Because we know that in halacha that we try to get the bodies buried right away, and yeah, I heard that from one of the drivers of these trucks.
I know it was quite a thing, like especially being in America, like like sending donations and like getting food to the soldiers. And at one point I was like, wait, why isn't there food? Like, what is
Right,
happening?
exactly. Right, like
And
why isn't the army getting food? Yeah.
it does make sense because like in a certain sense, like they had food for their current army, but then all these reservists were called up and all of a sudden they have, and also gear, right? Gear was a major issue, right? And I was like, we're having soldiers fighting and they don't have helmets. Like, what's happening? Like, how is this happening? It's wow. Like, what a time,
Yeah, I mean, it was a big wake up call to the army also, that they were not prepared enough for this type of situation. But this is where I guess we come together. So once the food started coming in, okay, we switched to barbecues. And the main idea behind the barbecues were to give more like
boost morale.
to boost morale and good
Good
yeah,
food helps
exactly.
boost morale.
Exactly. So it's the whole atmosphere of the barbecue. And he's done barbecues in unimaginable places, many times under fire. And many times he has to get there through dirt roads without his lights on in his car so the enemies don't see you, because you're literally on the border. And Hezbollah has they know a lot.
Hezbollah is no picnic. I mean, like we're always told, like they actually have greater capabilities.
Exactly. So they had to pave different roads to get to bases, of roads that Hezbollah does not know about. So under really unimaginable situations, going to these places with steak and high quality burgers and this and that. And that also gave our community an opportunity to volunteer, to prepare everything for the barbecue at the shul, pack up the car. So we needed volunteers at the shul to help pack and get it ready, and then to actually go do the barbecue. And at this point, the commanders are calling him. My group just came out of Jenin doing arrest. They're going back to do another wave of anti terror activities, and we need to do the barbecue. So it goes down, a barbecue, or our group just came back from Shtula or Gaza, different places, and it became like a real boost of morale. So really getting into there.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. What ended up happening, of course we wish it didn't have to happen, but the relationship and the partnership of like the civilians and the soldiers, right? Like coming together and really supporting and just, becoming partners in this, and understanding like how much the soldiers are sacrificing and how scary it is, and the civilians just like wanting to give them the best possible, chance of success by feeding them, by giving them a hug, by showing how much they're appreciated. And I know like we've mentioned before, like not everybody experiences things the same way. And I'm sure that's the same for soldiers, right? Not every soldier has the same experience. Not every soldier feels the same way. And they're all very brave, but each soldier experiences their service in such a different way. And I think part of the beauty of what you're sharing, and I know you've told me that you got to look in the soldier's eye, right? And you've got to meet them where they're at, right? And see what is it that they're needing. And not every soldier needs the same thing. And is that what you
I think something that many people who only watch the video of going to soldiers and making them happy and dancing. It's not Disneyland where you go there and everyone's jumping up and down. We need to bring that energy to them. Like our position,
they're coming out
going,
exhausted and depleted,
yes.
you know?
So we're not going there to get inspired. I was saw a soldier, and we're going there to give them our energy, to give them their support. And those videos that you see of everyone dancing, those moments were created with intention and with love. They don't just happen. And many times, I would say my husband came to a group of soldiers. Some of them lost people, fellow soldiers and friends, and some of them were wounded. For one of the barbecues, they brought an ambulance to transfer somebody from their platoon from the hospital just to join and have a little bit of relief. Some soldiers were scared. Like, yes,
Of course, these are little kids that belong in
kids.
school,
These are little kids, or they have children and wives at home. And we need to be that support for them. And I think it's something that we need to remember, that like those videos that we see is us being able to give that to them. And when you speak to every soldier has a different story. Yes, some of them don't even want to put on fill-in when they're about to cross over the border into Syria, and some of them do and some of them don't, and that's okay. We're here to just be what we can for them where they are, physically, Momish, where they are, not even just,
oh yeah, not even
metaphorically.
spiritually, just physically. Like, okay, I have a question. So being an American and living in America, I'm going to speak for myself right now. Like I feel like it has been such a crazy, confusing time to navigate. And I feel like I'm speaking for myself. I think there are people who feel the same way. It's like we are like in America, because we're not living in active war, we are very hard. I think we have a lot of survivor's guilt, right? And there's a lot of like, we get like stuck and obsessed in the social media part of it because we're not living it physically. So we're trying to feel it and be one with all of you who are in Israel. And it's so confusing and it's so hard. And I think there's a lot of, I don't know, for me, I just call it like a lot of survivor's guilt, where we feel like we can't like really move on. And how do we live life? And what do we do? And I would love for you to speak to that. First of all, do you feel that in Israel? Like, and what do you say to us Americans that are like in this, we're in it because we're Jews and we're one nation, but we're actually not living in a war zone, here in America?
So much good news to tell you as far as that. So I'm actually in America right now, and it's my first time visiting since October 7th. And before I came here, I'm like, there's so many amazing people supporting and posting, and everyone knows what's going on, and everyone's so passionate about it and connected. And literally 2 days into when we arrived, we looked at each other like, no, this is actually a real disconnect. Like, there's real disconnection here, and people are not connected. And when I was trying to think about it more, like, what is it? Now, some of it is there's no answer. When a person doesn't actually experience what it means to be at war and to live war routine, that when your kids have a siren in the middle of school and they run to the shelter because it became so routine that you're not even allowed to call the teacher to make sure your kid are okay. The teacher sends out a message, we are okay, because they're going to get bombarded. That it just became routine. That there's no way to explain that, and it's not anyone's fault that they don't understand that.
It's a
And you can
reality.
spend however much money you can, but there's still a certain disconnect. And you know what? I think that that's okay. Like, there's a certain level
Nothing to do about it.
There's nothing to do about it. Like, I can't expect you to feel what it feels like if it's not possible. And I also don't believe that everyone has to come to Israel. I do what's good for them and where they're able to be. I was never able to handle the camp situation, but I can handle being with my family in Israel. So everyone has to, they're able and capable of doing. But I would say there is a disconnect. And the sad is that there's a disconnect in Israel also. When I go to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, if you don't see the hostage signs, I'm not going to go to extreme to say you wouldn't know that there's a war, but there's a big disconnect between the North and the South. 100%. I mean, I've heard local Jerusalemites, Tel Aviv people telling people in Tzfat to just get over it. Don't use the war as an excuse, that the galleries have been shut since October 7th. Just whatever. I'm like, you understand that not a visitor has, like, you are very disconnected with what's going on. And that's within Israel too.
But I think that's where survivor's guilt comes from, right? Like there isn't a solution to it. Like you are not in the situation. You are not there. And that is what you have to contend with. And so as Americans, like navigating like the grief, and because we do feel the grief and the intense pain, and we feel the loss of every soldier and every hostage and every family that's affected, like it is deeply part of, our lives, but it's just this guilt and this situation that you're in, you can't change. And there's nothing, bad or wrong with you that you aren't the one that's in Israel in the war. It just happens to be your circumstance. And I think that's why we keep trying to show up. And so as somebody who's living in Israel, like how have people shown up for you, and what do you feel like makes a difference when somebody from America or Europe or someone who's not in Israel shows up for you? What does that look like?
Good. Okay. So I'm going to make a disclaimer again that this is extremely personal, how people want and need people to show up for them in their life.
But I get to talk to
you.
Right. I get to hear your opinion.
So my brother actually put the Homefront command on his phone, and he put it set to Tzfat, so that every time that there's a siren here, he's like, with me, like he feels it, like it goes off on his phone. And he doesn't text me, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? He like sends me a heart, says, I'm here. And for me, it was so deep, because there were many people that sent messages like, are you okay? Are you okay? And it's almost like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, if I'm okay, I would tell, like, you would know if a rocket.
You're okay, but not okay. At the same time.
Yeah. Like, but that, like, I'm here and I see you. It was literally a heart, like, I'm here. Was extremely deeply meaningful for me. To just have somebody there. They're not trying to change the situation. They're not trying to save me. They're not trying to, impose their guilt that they're not here on me.
That's a huge thing, right?
Right. Like, they're so anxious about it. So this actually happened with the Iranian threat, with the first one before Pesach. It was Motzei Shabbos. They canceled all school, everything. And we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Like, stay up all night and freak out, go to sleep. And my phone was ringing off the hook of everyone from America. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, wow, this is actually making me much more anxious. I'm like, I'm actually going to turn off my phone
and go to sleep.
And go to sleep, because I need to sleep. I have a family. I'm going to have to wake up in the morning. And I really appreciate your support, but it's actually not so helpful
it's not helping right now. Oh my gosh. That is a very significant thing to keep in mind, for everybody who's in the States or, out of Israel. Like, manage your own anxiety and don't put it on, the people that are actually there. That's not actually quite helpful.
Yeah, people were so anxious that they were pushing it on to me, which obviously came from such well-meaning places. Like, they were genuinely concerned for my life.
Yes,
but,
of course.
But yeah, that just being there was very, I had another situation a few weeks ago, actually now it's already a month ago. I was right after birth. The second Iranian threat happened after we assassinated and killed Hania. And my brother was imminently getting married, and all of our flights to the wedding were canceled, and we're like stuck in Israel, supposed to go to this wedding. Flights skyrocketed. So even if I managed to get one ticket, I was not about to leave my family alone in the middle of this very scary Iranian threat. And it was just a very intense time managing everything.
And your postpartum.
Literally a week after birth. Literally. Like, just had a birth. And my sister was like, Anna, what do you need right now? And I'm like, let me tell you something. I'm not capable of making decisions right now. It's just super intense, trying to keep our family together. I just had a baby. I'm trying to get like, just so much going on. I am going to hand over this to you.
Make right decisions now. For me. Power of attorney.
Yeah, like, you think for me, you make decisions. I will follow through. and you just need to be that for me right now. And she really did, and really pulled big miracles for my entire family to be at my brother's wedding. And that moment of like being able to fall back on, like, please be this for me right now, like be my mother, be my sister, be this that I just need you to be right now, was a really deep way that I was able to manage in a very stressful situation.
Yeah, this is like a concept for, in all tough situations when somebody is going through something that's really difficult. I talk about this a lot. It's like people are always like, "Well, how do you support, right? And how do you show that you care?" It's pretty simple, and I think sometimes it's so simple that we overlook the profoundness of it. It's what do you need? Right? Just that what do you need? Like I am here, like, tell me what you need. Do you need food? Do you need a babysitter? Do you need a hug? Do you need me to leave you alone? Do you need, like, and that opportunity to, and then there's times where, people aren't even capable of figuring out what they need. And then something like your situation is just like, please just do it for me because I can't, right? And the strength that it takes, sometimes, it's very strong to be able to function and navigate. And it also takes strength to be like, I don't got this, like I need help. And a lot of strength to be able to do that and kind of fall apart and be, I don't know what I'm doing and I need help.
Yeah.
So you're in America right
Yeah.
now and you've been here for a few weeks. What's it like? And do you think it's going to be hard to go back? Do you like, how
Good
is it
question.
like leaving? How
So
is it leaving war zone?
Right. So if not for my brother's wedding, it wouldn't even have been something to even consider, even the second Iranian threat. We have a community, we have people that are relying on us. When we told the people, our community that we were leaving for my brother's wedding, people were actually in tears, crying, like afraid. What would they do, when we're not around? So it was very difficult to make the decision to go. But once I got here, at the same time realizing the disconnect, in a way, was somewhat good for me and for our kids to get a break. From every time you hear a door shut, you think that it's a rocket.
I
And
just have to imagine, sorry for interrupting. I just have to imagine your nervous system in Israel is just on constant high alert to the point where you don't even realize that your nervous system is like up there. And then only coming here do you probably realize, like, oh my gosh, like I am a basket case.
I mean, we were literally the plane was landing, and my son was like, I just want to make sure, are there any wars here in America? And we're like, oh, honey, no, there are no wars. And then we land, we go to a hotel, and like they hear a door shut, and they all like, what? I thought there was no war. We're like, no, just the door. Or just an ambulance passes by, and they're like, wait, is that a siren? Like, they're not afraid, they weren't panicking, but your body jolts. It moves, it goes into like survival mode, into very high alert. So thank God that was able to calm down. Really cute story. It's not a story, but we were driving through the Canadian border. The wedding that we were going to was in Montreal, and so I was telling my kids, "Oh, we're getting to the New York Canadian border." I was like, "What border? Where are the guns? Where are the tanks? What's going on over here?
This is not a
This is not a
border.
border."
You wimps in America.
Not all borders are a war zone. Only in Israel, it's a war zone. But this is the border. But I would say the deepest, the first time I felt any relief of my nervous system was, I came to my parents' home after the wedding in Chicago, and I walked in the door with my kids all over me, with my bag, and get my bag down, and my parents greeted me at the door, and I literally fell into their arms and just started like sobbing. Like it was such, literally the first time I felt any sense of relief of my body. Like it's
You
not
were
even the
holding
mind.
so
The mind,
much.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just
Your
holding
body
so
was
much
holding it all. Yeah.
to just let it release and go. We're very looking forward to back home. Like it's our home. It's so nice to be here. Um, it's been an amazing experience for my kids, for us to just be in a very chilled place, get so much love and support that you really do need from family. Like however much you have amazing friends and this and that. There's something that family only feels. And that was a very deep experience and a healing experience for us. But we are looking forward to going back home and to being in what it is. And you know what? Back to, actually, you said this in the first sentence of the podcast of we're coming up on October 7th. What does it mean? And how do we commemorate? And how are we even looking at this? And I think it's very difficult because we're still in it. Like,
that's the thing. It's like,
there's
it's not
no
even
relief yet.
There's not even a commemoration because it's still going on. Like, we're not even able to, like, it's so hard to navigate that.
Yeah. It's like asking, how do you stretch in middle of your workout? Like, what do you mean? We're not at stretching time right now. We're not at that time right now.
Well, that's very profound. I love that metaphor. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, so you're welcome. I mean, I think each person is individual, like, you know, coming here for a month, getting a little bit of perspective, getting a little bit of relief is important. But the general and national and Jewish relief and figuring out what this means for us, we're not there. And,
we're not there yet. I think that's the best thing you can say. I think that's the best advice. It's just like, we're not really there. So we just, right now, our job is actually still living in this moment and creating, you know, the best possible, still living our lives, still putting out beautiful good in the world. I mean, God willing, by the time this podcast airs, Mashiach will be here and this will all be a moot point. But I do want to end with one last question, and it's possible there is no answer, but I feel like this is on a lot of people's minds, and it is on my mind, and especially as a community kind of leader. And I think people will be looking towards the leaders on how to navigate Simchas Torah, which is the happiest day of the year. And it makes me sick to my stomach that I think one of the most tragic things that they did was to take our celebration of who we are and our Torah and our love of God and how we celebrate and make that into such a tragic moment. And so what do we do? Like, we have to celebrate at Simchas Torah, like, you know, but we also are going to be holding so much pain and grief. So what do you do? Like, how, like, is it just like, I guess the answer just could be like, we just do our best and we figure it out and we hold two things at the same time, right? Like, we as Jews are really good at holding two things at the same time. We're constantly called to do that. I was just wondering if you had any insight or anything that's going through your heart and mind as you think about this.
So, good question. I didn't really explore on a practical level, like how Simchas Torah will look, as far, you know, especially as far as like a shul. At the same time, I have two things. One, it's absolutely a Jewish value and idea that we are able to handle two stark emotions at the same time, and to not, and two experiences at the same time, and to not try to push down one over the other. If you're feeling sad and happy at the same time, like, that's okay, and that's good, and that's real. At the same time, I actually heard this from the father of one of the like the fallen soldiers, and it really hit me extremely deep, where he said, because, you know, people call it the Black Shabbos, the Black Dark Shabbos, and the horrible situation, and he's like, we need to remember that Shabbos is not black, but the actions of Hamas are black, and that Hamas is black. This is like, and making that difference of our soldiers are holy and Shabbos is holy. Shabbos is light. Shabbos is freedom, and our enemies are darkness. Our enemies are evil. Our enemies need to be taken away and killed. And our soldiers are holy, and their soldiers are evil. Their terrorists are evil, and that, for me, it was a very, like, yes, Shabbos is light, and what happened was dark. And I think to keep that in mind, of Simchas Torah is in its essence a holy, joyful day, and that is an objective thing and a fact that exists. And to not darken it, to not darken Shabbos, to not darken that essential holiness that really will actually give us the strength to be able to handle both emotions at the same time. So I guess as of right now, that's all I have to share is to Simchas Torah in its essence, Shabbos in its essence is light, is holiness, and to remember that the darkness is not on ourself, but it's on our enemy, and it's on the terrorists, and to send that light and healing and freedom to our hostages, to our soldiers all over. We cannot lose that light. And when our light starts to become dark, then we're really,
that this is what I needed to hear. Like, I don't know, like, I think we hear all these things a lot, but like, at certain times it lands and you hear it a certain way. And I don't know, I received so much comfort from that, is that like that separation of like, no, our holiday, our Torah, our people is light, and we can't paint that. And it's through that light that we will be able to survive the dark that gets thrusted upon us. And so it's like Simchas Torah, like don't taint Simchas Torah and push it away or forget about it or make it black. Use that light, use that power to manage and navigate and survive the evil that is coexisting.
yeah, and it definitely coexists. This past Pesach Seder night, as I was lighting Yontif candles, the sirens went off, and there was a barrage of probably 40 rockets. My house was literally shaking, like, okay, we're gone, like that's over, literally shaking. And but we continue and we go to shul and we have our seder. There was definitely a little bit of a feel in the air and the energy, but our seder is not going to be dark and it's not going to be black. And the images of our hostages have to stay light. It has to stay freedom. It has to stay redemptive. And once we actually experience that, we'll be able. And again, we don't push away our grief. And on a practical level, will we dance with all of our hostages and mention all of their names and make dedications and be extremely present with it is extremely important.
Yes. Well, I think this is a beautiful way to end. Thank you so, so much for sharing. And it was such a pleasure to hear from you and your experiences. And I'm so grateful that you were able to join us.
Thank you for having me. And I really enjoyed this conversation.
Awesome.
And looking forward to meeting you and welcoming you in Tzfat.
Amen. I haven't been to Israel since October 7th. And it is like I'm itching, like my soul is like, yeah, me to Israel.
Okay, so today's October 7th. I don't really think there's a really proper way to express how that feels. And one of the things that I talked about with Chana that really resonated with me is like, it's hard to process something that you're still going through. So today's not really about processing what happened on October 7th because we're in it, but we are, we do spend the time, talking about Israel, advocating, helping it in our best way and supporting. And it's crazy because like the North is at major war. Like when we recorded this episode a few weeks ago, things were escalating and now it's like escalated. And so there's a whole nother wave of soldiers being called up and women home alone, probably over the holidays. And there's just so much to wrap our head around. I really appreciated Chana talking to me about what it was like for her on October 7th. And she was in Tzfat. So it's like, there's going to be so many perspectives and so many things we're going to have access to and hear. And this is just another, firsthand account from where Chana was and with her kids. And also like, it's been a year since Israel and the whole Jewish world has been at war. And there's so many different ups and downs and trajectories, and, how war becomes the norm for people living in Israel, and even in parts of Israel that are different locations feel it differently. And now we're coming up on Simchas Torah, which is like the happiest day of the year in the Jewish calendar, and we're having to contend with one of the most awful things happening. And I really appreciated the way that Chana kind of broke that down. It really meant a lot to me, especially from somebody who is a leader in a Jewish community. We have to lead by example. We have to set the tone, and it's not easy. It's really not easy. So I hope that, we are all on this day tapping into our resilience and our love and our empathy towards our fellow Jew. And maybe when you're in the kitchen cooking, it's hard, we still have so much to do in this holiday season. So while you're, doing all your stuff and running all your errands and doing your cooking, you can have a little bit of Israel and some firsthand, experience with you to mark the day and make sure that the day doesn't go by without the proper acknowledgement and focus. So here we are for some question answers. I have 3 that I'm going to address. The first one, it goes like this. How do I let go for the hurt of my only sister? I have forgiven, but can't let it go. It's a hard question, honestly. First, I guess, what does forgiveness mean? What's the differentiation between forgiveness and letting it go? A lot of times when we forgive somebody, it's because we need to let it go for our own mental health. Usually we're the person that we're upset about and holding on to the hurt. It hurts us the most. So, and I don't think it's an easy process. I think being hurt by someone that you love, that's in your family, is so hard. And I don't know exactly the process of letting go, because it's so individual it's so individual. Like, it's going to be different for everybody. For me, like, when I'm trying to let go of somebody that hurt me, I just, when it comes up for me, I allow myself to make that recognition of like, wow, my feelings were really hurt. And I don't know the extent of what happened. It could be very extreme. But because I don't know the story, for me, like, when I'm hurt, I sit with the feeling, well, this really hurt my feelings. And then I don't want it to be something that takes up so much space and still affects me in a negative way. So I just don't dwell on it for too long. But I know that, every situation is different, and it can be something that's really, really, really hard to let go. And I think just be patient with yourself, and give grace to yourself, and maybe ask Hashem for a little assistance, and maybe focus on like what is better for you. Like, wouldn't it be better for you if you can just let it go and not have it hold you hostage? I don't know if that really answered the question, but it's a hard question. It's a hard question. I think, forgiving is hard. Forgiveness is hard. Letting go is hard. And I think we need to acknowledge that. And also, what, at the end of the day, what is it that you want? Do you want to be held captive, or do you want to let it go? And if you want to let it go, make the moves and do the work. Okay, second question. How do you find time for therapy? Thinking to start, but overwhelmed with schedule. Okay, this is real. Totally relate to that. It feels like, oh my gosh, like, how am I supposed to add one more thing? It seems impossible. Well, I've been consistent with my therapy for, I don't know, 11, 12 years now. Every week, obviously I don't every single week, but it's on the schedule every week, unless something comes up. And what I do is that it's every day at the same time. I mean, the day of the week at the same time. So let's say Tuesday at 8:30 in the morning is therapy. And it just eventually, you just have to jump in, and eventually becomes part of your routine. Like, just like you need to take a shower and need to eat breakfast and or lunch, or you need to feed yourself, like, this becomes like part of your non-negotiable schedule. If that's something that you want, if you really want to do it, and you think that this is something that could really, really be helpful for you, then just do it. Get it on your schedule. I promise you, eventually it's going to become second nature. Like now it's not even a discussion. Like once a week, I go to therapy at a certain time and there's nothing, like it's in my schedule and nothing, except for being out of town or something, out of the ordinary, nothing comes in the way of that. It's just routine. And I think the only way to make something routine is to start doing it. You can't expect it to be routine before you start. So just get it on the schedule and make it happen, and you'll see it'll get easier. Like it'll be hard in the beginning, and sometimes you'll second guess and be like, I could have been doing so many other things at this hour. And yes, maybe that's true, but the more you do it and the more you see the benefits of it, you're going to appreciate it, and it's going to become a non-negotiable thing, and it will get easier. Okay, last question. How does mind-body healing work? Is it actually a real thing? Yes, it's actually a real thing. It's actually a real thing. Our mind and our body and our soul is all interconnected. Like that's how Hashem created us. It's all a system that, feeds off of each other and works with each other and needs each other. So when we're dealing with something emotionally and it's not being processed or becomes a huge burden, you are going to get physical symptoms. Whether you recognize that they're physical symptoms or you're aware of them is a different story. But our bodies manifest the things that are going on in our mind and in our soul and in our hearts. And I mean, there's so many different ways to go about it. There's so many ways to come at it. There's somatic healing, and there's EMDR, and there's energy healing and emotion code. Like there's so many different ways to go about the Sarno method. There's so many different ways to go about the mind and body connection and healing that. I'm not going to tell you which, you have to kind of figure out which way works for you. I find that they all kind of work together and they all touch upon a different part of your journey. But when you're feeling stressed and stuck in your body, movement, when you're feeling stressed and stuck in your mind, movement of your body helps. That's the mind-body connection. You ever feel stressed and you go take a walk, right? And that helps. Why? Because our mind and our body are connected. So we can try to deny it, and you can have the naysayers and say, nothing to do, and the body doesn't keep the score and all that stuff. Like I'm a firm believer that is not how Hashem created us. Hashem created a system, a united system, and it nothing happens in a vacuum. So if you're going to and let's go the reverse way, right? Like if you're going to be sleep deprived and you're going to be not getting enough physical sleep, guess what happens? You are cranky. You can't function. Why? If you aren't getting enough sleep, which is something physical, why is that manifesting in your mental, emotional health? Because there's a connection. So yes, it's a real thing. And I think when you start to embrace that and realize that and look at your body and mind in that way, there's a lot of opportunities, and we start to really discover ourselves. And I think life gets so much better once we, face the connection. That's the 3 questions. Keep sending them. They're fun to answer. See you next time.
I'm your host, Chavie Brook. It takes a village to produce this and create this. And I'm so grateful to my amazing team. Our producer is Eli Ben-Chion. Audio is edited and mixed by Chase Martin and Louis Quero. Production assistant, Shayna Ben-Chion. Design and creative is Rifki Markosian. Music by Basia Schechter and Daniel Ori. And this is Totally Unexpected.